Welcome to the second video in Pioneer Cut series. Today we are going to show you a tip, and it's going to be using glue to hold down complex part, thin walls. It's a process that we use all the time. As a disclaimer, these tips and tricks you see in this series, they're not my inventions. I didn't originate them. It's just I picked them up. I used them from my experience, from my employees' experience. And also we'll be using some products throughout. We're not endorsed or sponsored. We use the products because they work. We recommend them because they work. And we just want you to have success with some of these tips and tricks. Today it's going to be on the floor. It's going to be loud when everybody's working. So Ballistic Machinist is going to do a voiceover and kind of explain what's happening. This is one of our favorite methods, as it's very useful for complex parts and thin walled parts, and the application you'll see today is only one of many you can apply this practice. So let's take a look.
What's up, guys? It's Tim from the Ballistic Machinist, and I'm going to be walking you through the process today of how to use glue for fixturing a part. This is my friend John in the video here, and you can see he's got a piece of Scotch-Brite in his hand, and he is going through and Scotch-Briting the glue surfaces of these fixtures. And if you notice, he's going around in little circles, and that is very important. If you don't give it the little circles, it doesn't give it the little micro texture that is required for the glue to stick. Also, take note in this fixture here of the 3 grooves. You've got one in the bottom and one on each side of the part, and that is going to be for to help release the part after we are done machining it. So once you get the surface prepped with the Scotch-Brite, then you have to take acetone, and you can see he's squirting straight acetone right there into the part and onto that rag. And it also helps if you swirl this, because it helps clean out the little swirl grooves that are in there from the Scotch-Brite. But you just keep putting the acetone in and see how dirty the rag is there. And you just keep going because you don't want to see anything on your rag. To get your fixture perfectly clean to where you don't see anything on the rag is not the fastest process, but this does work for holding complicated fixtures with different angles and all that, because you can make a negative of your part, or in this case, everything ends up being super thin and there's nowhere to clamp. So that's why we're going to be gluing this in. And there he just showed again, you got more dirt on the fixture, so you just got to keep going and going until you get it clean. Now he is just doing the bottom of the fixture for demonstration purposes, but you will see when we bring the part over in a little bit that every bit of black that you see here is gone, and it's off the top and everything, because you got to have it all perfectly clean or this trick does not work. So I'm going to go ahead and bump this section up to 4 times speed just so that we can get through it and you can see what it looks like. Alright, so here he is. You see there's still a little bit of fingerprints there where he's rubbing. And now he's going to go through and do the last pass on this surface. And then you'll see that there is nothing on the rag. See how it's clean? That's what you need it to be. Alright, and not only do you have to do your fixture, but you have to make sure that your part is cleaned. And you see how he's doing the swirls on that again? Remember, the swirls are very important, because if not, you don't get enough grip and you're liable to throw your part straight out of your fixture. So John's going to go through and he's going to do the 3 surfaces that are supposed to touch the fixture, and he's going to do all this Scotch-Briting and then acetone them just like we did the fixture. So I will go ahead here and speed it up so you can see that whole process. So now while we're sped up here, these are tips and tricks that we use commonplace. They're not just a rare thing for, just a weird part that we made one time 3 years ago and did it. We use glue on a weekly basis to do all kinds of complicated prototype work that is just extremely difficult to fixture and hold on to any other way than creating the negative of the part that's all in the right angles and applying this glue on here and machining it. Now, I've also used this in the lathe, turning instead of milling, and it works pretty good for that as well. All right, so here we are at regular speed. He's got acetone on there, and he's wiping the surface to get it clean. And when he pulls the rag up here, see how it's all black there still? You just got to keep on working at it and getting that cleaned up so that you have two perfectly clean surfaces to apply your glue to. Now we'll come down here and take a look at the surface, and you'll see how it's all a uniform. You can see the swirls in there from the Scotch-Brite, so that gives something to adhere to. And there's the stock machine surface that he started with. But you gotta make sure it's clean and has the swirls. I cannot stress the swirl pattern enough. All right, and here he goes with the final pass on cleaning this up, and there's your rag. All right, so we use this Loctite 380. It's also sometimes referred to as Black Max. And you're going to go through and you're going to put a dot about every inch, or every square inch you want one. And this is not a case of where more is better, because if you use too much, you will have a heck of a time getting this out of your fixture. You'll be heating it up with torches and prying on it, and you'll end up warping your part. So it takes a couple of times to learn how much glue you need, because you need enough to hold it, but there's a fine line of too much, and it just becomes a nightmare. Now, there are two ways of doing it. You can put all your glue on your part, like he is doing here, and then we're going to slide it into the fixture, or you can put your glue on the fixture and then slide your part down into it. It just all depends on your process and trial and error to get it exactly how you need it. So here we are back in the machine, and he's going to pick this up and bring it over and see how all the black has gone off the fixture except for in the little pry slots. Now he's going to sit this down in here. It kind of gets stuck, but we want a close fit because the glue can only bridge so much of a gap and still hold your part while you're machining. So we're going to give it a little bit of a tap, and it's going to fall into place here. There it goes. And now, the other key with this is you have to apply weight. That can be accomplished a couple of different ways. You can put clamps on it and clamp the part down in and have the glue sit, or we like to have weight set on it. So he's going to take a couple of vices and sit on this part and let it sit there and let the glue start to dry. It takes between 20 and 25 minutes. Sometimes I'll wait 30 minutes for the glue to set before I start to machine on it. But this is what it looks like. That's sitting down in there. It's all level, sitting in the fixture nice, and it's all going to depend on your design for whatever kind of part you're trying to use, how your fixture is made. But here's a picture of it in the mid-machining, and then here we go to the end of it. So now what he is doing is he's spraying acetone down these tracks, and that's getting it all beside the part, because acetone will start to eat this black glue that we use, the Loctite 380, to help release it. Now, most of the time, we have to apply a little bit of heat, but we take these wedges and we stick underneath of our parts. This one's kind of a thin part, so it's going to flex a little bit here. But we stick that up in there, and then that starts cracking that glue loose. And this one actually came out super easy. I mean, sometimes we're hitting it with a torch to get it to come out. But you see how that wall right there is wiggling already? And this wall right here is wiggling. And then he's actually able to just lift this part right out of the fixture. Like I said, now this is a little bit of a rare instance. Usually it's a little more difficult to get out of the fixture, but that one came right out. Well, I hope we were able to teach you something today, and I hope you enjoyed the video. If you like this, subscribe to the channel because we're going to have more educational videos and that kind of stuff.